Hi, welcome to playableguitar.com. This is a short video about the nuts and bolts, the basics of guitar tablature. So what we've got here, I've got a program called Guitar Pro here, and I just wanted to sort of show you how this is going to work for you as a guitar player using tab. I'm going to start at the top of this page here. I've got this section here, which sometimes appears on tab, and this is an annotated diagram. And this is just to give you a tuning datum to tell you which strings are which if you're playing guitar in standard tuning. So if you're unfamiliar with the names of the strings, here you go. From the fattest, biggest number being the biggest string and the lowest sound. These days a lot of people are saying Eddie 8 Dynamite, goodbye Eddie. So the thing to remember here is that the smallest number is the smallest string on your guitar, whether you're right or left-handed. And the largest number is the largest string on the guitar. The smallest string is the highest pitch, and the biggest, fattest, lowest string, the sixth string, is the lowest pitch. Now what I'm not going to talk about is this little mark here. That I can't get rid of that. It's just part of the program. This is just a kind of courtesy label that there's several of on this program, and this means nylon guitar. So these aren't really particularly relevant. Here's a time signature. Again, more of something to talk about in another video. What we're concerned about is the nuts and bolts of tab itself. So we've got our 6 strings. We can see that the lowest string is going to be the lowest pitch, and that's a good little thing to remember if you get confused about which is which. Remember, the highest string is the highest pitch, is the smallest number, smallest string. The lowest pitch, the lower string, is the biggest number, biggest string. So the lower pitch is lower on the page. Now, that's one of the disadvantages of tab. Actually, it doesn't always work that way, that you can see visually pitches rising. It all depends on your tuning. In our tuning, it becomes apparent though. So for instance, if I put a 0 here, that means that you would play the low E string open with no finger. If I move along and go to the next string, that means play the open A string. And I'll just go right up the strings like this using zeros. And there's my third string, my G string. This is another thing that's just particular to this particular program. It jumped across that line to start another section. This section is basically just called a bar or a measure. It's separated by these bar or measure lines, but we're not going to be too concerned with all that. That's again for more discussion when it comes to standard notation. We're just looking at how this lines and numbers thing works with your guitar. So there's another 0. That's my B string. I'll move this along and I'll put another 0, and there's my high E string. So those are my 6 strings open. No fingers yet because I'm just putting zeros. So if I start here on this little MIDI program, I can hit play and you'll hear the notes, simulated notes of a guitar. And that's all there is to it. Now if I start to put numbers on these lines, let's hear what that sounds like. The advantage to tab is that you can instantly see where to put your finger. You don't have to do any deciphering because you can play a single pitch on a guitar in lots of places. There are other places to get the notes, so this way you don't have to make the decision. It's made for you. It's telling you where to put your finger. There's a direct visual correlation. That's an advantage. And that exact finger position is an advantage. The disadvantage is that although it's showing you fingering, it's not really representing pitch. It's representing finger position on frets and strings. And your tuning might be whatever, so it's very instrument specific. Tab for a banjo, a mandolin player would struggle to figure that one out. Whereas standard notation is universal. That's a disadvantage about it. It's got rhythmic limitations. That's the other thing I'll say I'm not going to discuss today is what these lines mean. But the thing is, tablature doesn't convey rhythm as easily as standard notation. It doesn't convey distinction between parts. If you have a 4-voice piece of music, it's hard to have 4 different sets of rhythm going on when you're doing it in tab. So the advantages are that it's pretty instant. It doesn't take a lot of training to learn how to read it because all you're doing is figuring out which string is which and putting your fingers on the right fret numbers. And that's what I want you to see here, that's what it's all about. So if you go out and find some tab music, you should be able to begin to figure it out, especially if you've already heard what it is you're trying to figure out. So I hope this makes tab a little more understandable, and I look forward to giving you some more videos about how tab and notation can work together. Okay, thanks for watching.